Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Robbo.
There's some gremlins
There are gremlins.
in the system.
There are a lot of gremlins, actually.
Welcome to Robbo Live. It's wonderful to be here again. A show that is changing its look and feel every single week. Last week was...
Look and feel. There's a look and feel going on here, too. I think the audio side of me is a little disappointed that you're going to squeak a lot.
I could do a bit of 80s rap every now and then.
You could. You could definitely do some 80s rap.
Record scratching. I just picked this up today. Do you like it?
Not really.
I went to Southland. It was packed.
I'm going to adjust my microphone.
It was packed at Southland. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ruth. Hello, Yvonne. Good to see you. I saw Yvonne the other day.
Did you? In person?
Yeah.
Oh,
in
good.
the flesh. Do you know what else I saw today? I was so pumped.
A bad jacket?
You don't like my jacket, do you? I love your honesty. I saw Glenn Robbins today.
Do you guys like his jacket?
Tell me if you like my jacket. It's Nike, who I was sponsored by back in the day.
I'm waiting.
Hello, Anthony.
Please be honest.
Susan, Melinda, Richard. How are you, Richard? I'm going to see if we can get Duxie on today. Duxie's worried. He keeps messaging me all day. Man, my questions don't come up on the screen. Why are my questions not coming up? Which goes to show how people love to get their questions. So when I am on a chat in watching something, I want people to mention me. I do.
Well, if he's on and he comes up, I'll put it right over the middle of the screen.
Come on, Duxie. Look, welcome to the show. It's wonderful to be here again. Sunday evening. I really do look...
Deborah said I'm not a green person. That's it. Yeah, Felicity's saying not sure either. That's two. Anyone else?
Hang on.
Better jacket if it was red or blue.
This is cool.
I wore that, I reckon, when I was 12 maybe in Perth.
But you do understand that fashions go out and then come back in, don't you? Or are you just stuck in one?
I think I'm stuck.
All right.
Maybe we're all stuck.
This is still chic in Tasmania too, don't worry. It's still going around.
In Perth, it's big. Parachute times. What do you guys think? Tell us.
Hello, Gary. How are you, mate? Good to hear from you. Jenny Love. Not the best top in my closet, but hey, yes. Roxanne says she's no fashion expert, and neither am I.
Not the best choice, Richard. It's pretty unanimous. I'm glad I'm not on my own. I'm relegated to getting whiskies in a minute. Oh, it's coming off.
I'm getting it off. That's it. The jacket's coming off. That's all that's coming off. Hey, Davo, I saw Glenn Robbins today. I was in Freedom Furniture in near Southland there. Yeah. And I have to say, he's going to be one of the funniest guys of all time.
Absolutely. I
felt like going up to him and saying, hey, I know you're Russell Coit. I'm Russell Robertson. What do you reckon his reaction would have been? Anyway, it was good. It was good fun. Hey, last week...
Do you think you'll ever wear that jacket again now that
I'm going to.
Everyone said no, they don't like it.
I got some matching shoes to go with it, so...
You're not wearing them?
Not right now because they're getting them in from Northland. They didn't fit me. They didn't have any size 10s. I have a small foot. What size is your foot?
10.5.
Yeah, it's about the same as me. We got small feet. Big hands, though. That's all that matters.
They say about people with big hands.
Big gloves?
Yeah.
Hey, last week we interviewed, I said off the top of the show.
Got rid of the maggot from last week.
What was that? Oh, the maggot from last week. Thank you, Gary. We did.
Like his sense of humour.
Last week we interviewed the great man, Razor Ray.
There's Sean Dux.
Thank you, Duxie. You're there. So stop whinging and complaining to me.
I'm even going to put it on the screen.
Duxie! Should be red and blue jacket. I understand. Absolutely. We had, let me get this out, because we had Razor Ray on the show last week and I loved it. I have to say, I really enjoyed it because the reason why I got Razor Ray on, ladies and gentlemen, is because of his different take on our Demons boys. I spoke to him down in Mentone when I saw him. And he said, let's chat about what your guys are like out on the field because, excuse the dogs in the background.
Yeah, there's three.
There's three of them. Our boys are a different breed out there. That they will question things, but it's not wasted energy. There's no carry on. There's no name calling or anything like that. And I reckon that comes from probably our Max, who's really good at, he's quick-witted. We know that. Intelligent guy. And a little left field, and I reckon the umpires like that. So I'm finding that maybe we'll start getting the rub of the green a little bit more. Even though I still, there was some comments last week, wasn't there, that umpires seem to hate us, namely one of them, Stevics. No, not Stevics, not Stevics. The bald guy. Bald guy.
I pulled him up.
Let's go to the questions for a second. What do we got here?
Do you reckon, just out of interest, Max Gorn, right? Do you reckon in the past, players never used to be able to have fun? Didn't say, maybe Alan Jakovic, actually.
What do you mean in terms of having
fun on the ground?
Oh, my God. Do you remember Wacko Jacko? These people would remember Wacko Jacko.
I don't know if that's fun. That's just like
crazy.
Like crazy.
Do you know he's got one of the best goal kicking records of all time?
Really?
Yeah. He's
Wacko Jacko.
Yeah. Google it, someone, or you could probably Google in a minute. It was Mark Jackson's goal kicking.
From Perth? He played a lot in Perth, I think, or he just went there.
No, he's from. I feel like he's from. And these guys will tell me. So Tarax is here. He'll know. Richard will know where.
Nichols is the one who.
Yes, Nichols. Thank you, Richard. You'd know where Wacko Jacko was from. I feel like he played suburban football around Melbourne, somewhere like Mitcham or something like that. Yeah. I feel like Oakley sort of way.
He played for South Fremantle too,
maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Someone tell me where Wacko Jacko. I know he ended up in Geelong. He comes from Richmond. John Townsend tells us. Don't you worry about our Melbourne supporters. They'll tell us everything about what we need to know about Melbourne. What do you know?
John said he thinks so.
I think. If anyone knows for sure, let us know. Anyway, Razor Ray gave us a different take. And so I think that's where we're going to go with this show. Now, I've mentioned from the very beginning that, what's the nickname? Digital Dave, buddy.
I don't know.
I call you Davo. But when we're doing this, because you're so good at all this techo stuff that you've sorted me out with, we've had some gremlins today. That's why we're a little bit late. We've got a few camera setups and we're trying some new things. We're also going to try some new things in terms of people that we're interviewing. Okay, today.
I thought that was interesting last week.
Oh, wow.
I just don't think you get an umpire's perspective.
No.
And like I knew Razor before we did it as well, but you still watch games and you still just have a knee-jerk reaction to want to abuse them.
Yeah.
It's really hard. But now at least you can feel bad when you do abuse them. You can go, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But it was interesting. It was good to know that they're expecting it. And they know that it's very Australian to cop that, and they're going to get booed as they come off the ground.
Imagine that, though. Imagine going to your job every week and you just get abused like that. Yeah. You must have pretty thick skin, right?
100%.
If I got abused all the time, every time I did anything, I'd crawl into a little ball, I think.
That's right. Gary says, Sauce, 5 laps for being late. Sauce Brady, you're right, mate. No worries. Get those 5 laps done when you're done. Come back to us. Mark Jackson also played at South Fremantle. Now, Davo's a Western Australian, a West Coast Eagle, but you're half Melbourne, so he's allowed to be on the show. You're pretty much more Melbourne because we won the premiership. Just jump on the bandwagon.
I've been doing this with you. I'm not going to be on here for the whole time, by the way. He dragged me on here.
I want to
hear from him, so I'm on whiskey duty shortly.
Yes, go and get me a whiskey. Yeah. Everyone knows I like a whiskey, and they know this because of post grand final show.
Yes, that's true.
I have a particular whiskey that I like, Russell's.
Yeah, it's a Russell's. Yeah, we have some left.
Bring it in and show it to the people for me in a minute because it's a nice drop, and I'm hoping to get some sponsorship at some point.
From Russell's. It's Australian, I think.
Yeah, well,
so you might be a chance.
Russell's, I'll bring it in and I'll pump it up again. Speaking of
how are you going live on the grand final? And we were both, I was just like, I couldn't see straight. And I'm trying to get everything to work. And I'm like, you're going to what? You're going to go live?
Oh, my God. Daniel Wood says, hi, I want to give playing footy a try once I get some health issues sorted. Just wondering, what would you say the biggest thing would be work on going from playing American football to footy to Australian rules? That's a good question. That's a little bit different. A lot, really. The fact that you've got to use your foot. So I think just kick. I keep telling people when I coach, and I coach a lot of junior football and women's football, the MCC women's football. And my biggest advice to anyone, so parents of young kids, parents of grandkids, grandparents, if you've got grandchildren and you want to teach them a little bit, you want to give them some advice because there's 1,000,001 things that you can say. Do this, do that. And I'm finding that with my son's basketball team. So I'm not 100%. I know a little bit about basketball. I don't know enough. Okay, so I try to give him some advice. I give him some sports advice, but sometimes I feel like it's too much. It's too much. It always comes back to just go and enjoy it. Just play at this age because he's 11. As you get a little bit older, you do need to be skillful. Okay, so the major points of the game: kicking, handballing, marking. Our game is that, but the biggest one would be kicking. You
Yeah.
have to kick the ball, and you have to kick it well.
Yeah.
So get a ball and just kick the ball to yourself constantly.
Yep.
Make it spin backwards, make it spin up to your head, catch it.
I think the biggest difference, and you would know this, so I feel a bit silly saying it, but compared to American football, is it's continuous and it's unpredictable.
Yes.
Like you don't know where the ball's going to bounce. And in football, American football, very stop-start, very structured.
Yeah.
You play a certain role, but in football, you play everything. Your attack, defense, goal kicking, taking marks, spoiling, it's all over the place. You guys all know this.
There's so much downtime. And Aussie rules football is 360 degrees. Okay. It's not like rugby, okay, where it's just straight ahead.
Well, you just think about like that St Kilda Collingwood grand final where Milne's running in to get the ball and it just looks like it's going to bounce into his hands and St Kilda's going to win their first premiership in 170,000 years.
Oh, my God.
And the ball bounced sideways.
It's unbelievable. Here we go. Sean Ducks, Mark Jackson started at South Fremantle 1979, 87. You're right, 31 games. Richmond 0-0, then us, 81, 82, 41 games. Thank you, Ducksy. Nicky Nudd.
But he's not from Perth, though, is he? Why did he go to Perth and start his career in Perth?
I don't know. I've got a feeling he's a Melbourne boy. He's crazy enough to be a Melbourne boy. Nikki Nadutso, she's driving to Numurkah, travelling home from Numurkah. What are you doing in Numurkah, Nikki? She's getting married soon. I'm playing the band. Can't wait for that. Yep.
When are you going to play songs on here? Everyone keeps asking and you never do it.
You keep asking. They don't ask. You keep asking. You're trying to embarrass me. Speaking of rugby.
Embarrassing. You do music. That's what you do half the time.
That's right. Active Business Advisory is our sponsor.
You want me to put them on?
Please. Active Business Advisory has come on as a sponsor of our show. And I want a big shout out, big props to some of the best accountants in the system. Not only are they accountants, but they're also financial planners. They have really sorted me out. And you know my story. I've told you some stories.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, we've known each other, or a year or so. It feels like 2 years.
Oh,
what they were able to do for me, and another one of my old teammates, David Schwartz, if he was on here, the Ox, and he was, and if we were talking about Active Business Advisory with the Ox, he'd tell you they made him, after all his gambling issues, as Davo jumps off to get me a whiskey. Is that what you're doing? Is that where you're going?
No, I was just adjusting my microphone, but go on, I can go get you a whiskey if you want. I guess that was a sign.
Yeah. Active
you got to get Matty Whelan on too. You don't want to get hit lip talking to me. But.
No, well, that's it. And that's where I was going with this. After this sponsorship, and I did mention that rugby is a front-on game, and it's hardcore, and it's brutal, and it's tackling. And one of the best tacklers in the business for the Melbourne Football Club when I played, he was, and probably would get a lot more suspensions now because, wouldn't you, Wheels? Yes, I can see him nodding.
Yeah, he's nodding.
In the waiting room there, because he used to do that thing with his shoulder that the rugby guys are great at and lift them, and that's perfectly legal in rugby. And it was pretty legal too when we were playing. Yeah. And it's kind of scary when you get lifted a little bit. He never did any spear tackles or anything like that.
No.
But it's just a natural thing to tackle. He did? Did you get suspended, Wheels? No, you never got suspended. You got away with it. But you wouldn't get away with it now. So that's the thing. So Matty Whelan, and I've got so many people commenting, Wheels, that I just keep going up to the boards here. They cancelled the D's days that we're going to, and I was looking forward to hearing from you sing. Yeah, those demons in the country. That's still happening in a couple of places. Hello, Nita's on. Burton, I want a could have been champion style song from you. I said that to you. I said I need to write a couple of could have beens. Thanks, Nita. You got Wheels on, Nita. So give me a question for Wheels. Nita will have a great question for Wheels. Why don't we just get him on?
You promised us on.
Matty Whelan, one of Darwin's. Yeah, well, I just said that.
Oh, sorry. I was too busy trying to get your guest
Wheels, come on into the room. Hello. There he is. Hello, Wheels.
Hello, mate. How you going?
I'm good. Nita's asked the first question. Are you ready? Wheels, why did you lift people with those at training too? Did you ever lift, Nita?
Yes, I did my first year.
Your first year?
Yeah, my first year. So a good way to introduce yourself to the team. We're playing a handball game as we did back in the day, and he was right down the sideline. I was coming across to touch him or tackle him, and he stepped back inside right into my shoulder, and pick him up and dumping him, and then as I was on top of him, he trying to eye gouge me. So yeah, it's a great thing for the captain to be doing. One of the young draftees.
Yeah, he wouldn't have taken to lightly to that early days. He would have been, definitely with the eye gouge. But he's such a placid fella. He would have given you a pat on the back later, surely.
Didn't help with Ox giving it to him because Ox was on my team. So obviously the young bloke just picked him up and dumped the skipper. So he was just embarrassed.
That's fantastic. I did not know that. I don't know what I was doing, but that was
You're probably on his team.
Yeah, I was probably on his team. Don't worry, I had my run-ins with Nita, didn't I, Natey? I used to hurt him a lot, and Nita said he loved it. I used to hurt Nita a lot. I don't know what it was. Of course, I was trying to sit on his shoulders all the time. That didn't help. So there was one time
trying to pour cold water down his back when you had to fight. Remember that one?
You guys will never let me forget it. Neither will the media. Nita said he loved it when you lifted him. He knew that he had a hardcore tackling machine. Before I go on with any more crap, Wheels, welcome to you, mate. I'm so glad to see you. I suppose a forgotten figure, a lost figure amongst this premiership stuff. You're working at the club at the moment, albeit probably from home over the last 12 months or so. Indigenous affairs at the club, and obviously been working pretty hard at that for the last couple of years. 5 years now? 4 or 5 years?
Started 2017, I think. So
yeah. God, time flies, mate. So, firstly, let's hear about your role, and then let's unpack everything that you used to do for the D's when you were a player, and even before that.
Yep. So, basically, I'm an Indigenous Projects Officer. I'm not sure if my title's changing this year with all the sort of mandate that they have now with sort of my roles going into every single footy club.
Yep.
So basically my job was to look after the welfare of the Indigenous players and advise the club on how best to go about that, and sort of anything, I guess, Indigenous affairs as well.
Yeah.
What's happening in the community, whether it's Black Lives Matter, all that sort of stuff that's been happening. So just to probably get a feel of what the community's thinking and what our stance is on those sort of issues.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and look, we went through a whole learning thing when I was working at the club full time too when you came on board, and we went through a whole learning. Couple of key speakers came in, and we I feel like the premiership team that we have now, and I've been saying it for a long time now. We've been building towards this over a long time, not just with what we're doing at the club, but the supporters and the support that they've given us over the last 10 years. We've been building this premiership team. It's been a slow build. It hasn't been something that just happened overnight. And this is a big part of what's made our club such a good place culturally. Learning a little bit more about the fellow man and what you've done in this place, mate. It must make you proud.
Yeah, very proud. Obviously, this year sort of culminated in a lot of about 20 odd years of work for me. 10 as a player and 11 as a supporter.
Yeah.
Just seeing the boys, the way they go about things, or the club, the way they go about things. We've got charities we work with, and we try to do our best to, I guess, give back and help support them and give them the exposure that they deserve, and help out any way we can. And one of the things that obviously we've done in recent times in the Indigenous space is the grassing of Santa Teresa Oval.
Yes.
And the people there say that's just the karma that's come back to you. You put good stuff out in the world, and then comes back and we win the premiership. So I'll take that.
Hey, if you don't know what Wheels just mentioned there, guys, the Santa Teresa Oval is right in the heart of Australia. It's about an hour and a bit down the road, down a very dirt track road from Alice Springs. And Santa Teresa is a place that I'm going to say, Wheels, go on a limb and say it was probably a place set up 100 years ago, 100 years ago by a Christian, white Christian, what would you call them? Trying to spread the
missionaries sort of
missionaries. Thing. That's the one. Thank you very much. And you can see the remnants of all that now, but it's very much Indigenous now. But they have what every Australian town should have is a footy oval, and a pretty decent oval too. But it's dust, right? It's dirt. At one time, it was grass, right? Mm-hmm. And guys, what happened was the water was taken away through politics. Through look, let's not get into that. It was all to do with the government up there. But the Melbourne Football Club, through the help of yourself and a couple other key people like Jackie Emerton, decided that it was going to be something the club did was to grass this oval because everyone just loves footy in the middle of Australia. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that, Wills?
Yeah, so one of the things we did when I first started was the club was in the process of launching their first Reconciliation Action Plan. So basically it's just a document that sort of holds the club accountable to specific things that we say we're going to do in the Indigenous space. And one of the things as part of that wrap, I wanted to do a cultural immersion. So instead of just going out to a community, doing a clinic, patting ourselves on the back and then going away, actually wanted to stay there and get to know the people and that sort of thing. So we did that 2017, and then we wanted to give back some money to the community to say thank you for doing that, but they wouldn't take any money from us. And so, can we help with something then? And they said sort of jokingly on an email that they'd love us to help regrass the oval. As a bit of a throwaway comment. And then a fellow called Jimmy Martin, who works in our IT department, he's the one who sort of said, leave it with me. And then he chased it up and got the ball rolling. And then we got some government grants and that sort of stuff and kickstarted everything. And then, was it 2 or 3 years later, we've got a grassed oval for them. So a lot of work's gone into it. And a lot of, like you said, a lot of people have helped along the way. Members have donated, that kind of thing. So very thankful for that. But a lot of good people done a lot of work. We've got some other projects we're doing with them as well at the moment, but that's probably going to be a bit further down the track.
Yeah. And look, the supporters were great as well, because I know some people donated towards that project. It wasn't a small deal. So if you get a chance, and let's move off that now because we've got plenty to talk about, Wheels, about you, but that aerial view, if you can check it out, I don't know if you can find it on our website, Wheels, I'm sure you can, melbournefootyclub.com. See how it was dust before, red dust, and now it's green. And the other thing is it's also saving lives health-wise too, because of the eye disease, trachoma, which this disease, it lives in the dust, it lives in the dirt, doesn't it? And obviously young kids get in there and they rub their eyes and they rub their noses and their faces, and it gets into their eyes and causes blindness. So it's just phenomenal, this whole thing. So if you get a chance to check out that whole project that our very own Matty Whelan was a huge part of, you'll feel really good if you do read up on it. A quick question, because there was someone just asked before, I can't remember, about Liam Jones today, or maybe yesterday, Wheels. Did you catch wind of this? Liam Jones, Carlton fame, has retired because it looks as though it's because he doesn't want to have, there it is from Dead Farang. Dead Farang says because he doesn't want to have the jab. What are your thoughts on that, mate? Jeez, huge.
It's a big move. I mean, each to their own, and it's mandated from the government, so unfortunately we have to do it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's a hard one, but as part of our role, we have to be vaccinated. So I'm fully vaxxed. So So it's definitely sticking up for what he believes in, which is great for him.
Yep, absolutely.
It's interesting to see what happens down the track. I guess with other jobs, because if he wants a job somewhere else, he's probably still going to have to get vaccinated somewhere along the line. But good on him for sticking up for his beliefs.
That's right. Hey, Wheels, Ben Shadle says, give us a wave, mate. Rekka, give us a wave.
I used to like that one during the games, that one. It was a good one.
That's all right, eh? Gee, love you, Wheels. Everybody's jumping on. Now, we do love you, Wheels, because you and I are from the same era. We came through together. I was a couple of years before you got to the club. I'm a little bit older, as you can see. But you and I retired on the same day, which was a sad day, but it was also a wonderful day. You came to the club at a time of steady progression. We were really finding out something new. We were starting to go through some success. But you also, what I wanted to talk about mostly was you were able to set up some success for some other guys, namely Aaron Davey, namely Liam Jara, Nev Jetta, some guys that came to the club after you that really, and I mean this, guys, Melbourne fans that are on the show right now, they really look to Wheels as the big daddy, and he's a big daddy now, but he's a big daddy then, as the guy he's come from Darwin and he's living in the white man world, and you really looked after these guys and helped them out, mate. Was that a pressure you felt? Did you just do it? Was it natural for you to just help out that way?
It's just natural, growing up sort of around big families and that sort of stuff, and it was my responsibility. I mean, when I first got to the club, I had Jeff Farmer and Scott Chisholm that were there.
Yeah.
Scott finished up, I think, the end of 2000, and then Jeff left to Fremantle.
The Prince.
2001 or 2. And then, it was basically, I was there by myself for a bit, and then Aaron came along with Joel Campbell.
Yeah. Jolly Campbell.
Jolly Campbell. So, so it was basically just my role at the club to help I just give them advice and steer them, I guess, how to be professional footballers. Not that I was great at it myself, but I was a little bit better than them. But, Yeah, I think the senior Indigenous player, every AFL club takes on that responsibility. Because when you got a young bloke coming in, they're not going to go up and speak to the leadership group. They're going to come and speak to the Indigenous fellows who they feel comfortable with. So it's one of those things where I think all minorities stick together. So we're in the minority in Australia here, but yeah, it's just something you just do. Don't even think anything of it. So yeah.
100%, mate. And look, there's some questions here. Nikki's got a really great one coming from a fiance, but I'll get to that in a second because it's something we've got a video on, and Dave's going to get that one ready for me. And it's the hit on Jimmy Herb, which you'll remember very, very well. But the question I was going to ask, well, it wasn't a question really. It was more of a remembering a story. Do you remember? And everyone loves stories, and I know the fans that are watching the show love stories. We'd been beaten pretty badly, and I'm talking when Liam Jarrah was at the club, so probably in his second year, maybe even his first year. I reckon it was probably 100 points. Dean Bailey was our coach. Remember this? We got smashed, and we were told on a wintry, freezing, not too dissimilar to what we've got outside today, winter's day, recovery session. We've rolled in, feeling crap because we'd been spanked. We know we're going to get into trouble in the meeting room. We go into the meeting room, and Bales goes to us, righto, boys. If you think you can accept that as a result and the way you played, I've got another thing for you. Get in your cars, go down to, I can't remember the name of the road. Kerford Road. There's a pier at the end of Kerford Road. I want you all to bloody well walk out at the end of that and jump off it. Oh, okay, no worries. So we all bundled into our cars, and off we go. We all carpooled down there. We all got out of our cars. And there was a lot of bravado. There was a lot of woos as we're running out. And it just realised how long this pier was. It just kept going. Remember, it's like, this is one of the longest pier Melbourne's got. We get all the way at the end. It's freezing. And one by one, we all just plop up. And I plop off. And I remember Liam Jarrah, the man that comes from Central Australia, not like more centre than any centre there is, like the hottest hot part of Australia. All the colour break from his face is like, what am I doing? And he just went crazy and he jumped in. God love him. He jumped in and he swam in, and we all swam in. We got in our cars and we all jumped in the showers together because we only had 4 shower heads, remember, at the junction over where we were. So we're all huddling in the shower together to warm up. And then what happened? We always tell them what happened next.
And then we get back into the vault or the meeting room, and then coach goes, all right, back to Kerford Road and do it again.
Not again.
I think we ended up doing it three times, didn't we?
I think so. We were all warmed up. We put our clothes back on. Our towels were drenched. We put so cold. Got back in the meeting room. Okay, let's get smashed in this meeting. He goes, off you go, do it again. So we had to get back in our cars and go and do it again. And to his credit, Liam Jarrah, I think he was the one. Well, I'm from Tasmania. I've got no excuses, have I? It's just par for the course. But for him, that would have been just absolutely awful. Hey, Wills, you were one of you don't give yourself enough credit because you really were able to control yourself. I mean, in terms of the parties and the frivolity that you can get up to, and we see it happen all the time with AFL players. You know, Jordan De Goey goes overseas and creates some strife for himself. You were able to keep away from all of that, and I'm just about to tuck myself into a nice little Russell's Reserve whiskey that Davo's made for me. How terrible I buy my own whiskey. I saw it. That's my name. I'm going to buy that. I like a whiskey, but you don't drink, mate. You never went on any footy trips. Maybe one footy trip in your life. Well, talk to me about that. Why didn't you get involved in any of that stuff?
I don't know. I guess growing up, I saw a bit of a lot of problems with alcohol in my family and that sort of stuff. When we have barbecues and stuff with family fighting, and I remember this from a really young age actually. And I don't know, it always stuck in my mind. And then when I was about 15 or 16, my brother, he said, my brother's 5 years older than me. He basically said to me, if I ever touch drugs or anything, he's going to bash the absolute, what out of me. And so I reckon all of growing up till I was about 21, I had one beer.
Yep.
And then on my 21st, I drank, and then probably maybe another 5 or 10 times in the next 10 years, probably something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, like I said, wasn't a very big drinker.
No.
Don't like the taste of it, but it's probably a good thing. I had enough trouble controlling my weight just with the food, let alone alcohol.
This is true. This is true. It's been a battle for you since you finished, but you're doing a good job at the moment, mate. You've lost a lot of weight.
When I was playing, mate.
Yeah, well, while you were playing, it was always there was those days with the calipers when we got our skin fold test. So,
jaws of life for me, big tongs, man. Like
sometimes they couldn't open up enough.
Well, exactly. I'd be in Daniher's office once a month. Every time I played crap, I'd be straight in there.
You got to lose some weight, Wheels. You got to get fit.
Pretty much.
The Wrecker Whelan, obviously, Whelan is a company of wreckers, and that's where you got a lot of Whelans have been called the Wrecker, but you really lived it, Wheels, didn't you? And people have alluded to this question, which will take us back. So I want to show this footage. Davo's going to work feverishly over here to get it across. So it's you know what it is. It's when the Great Southern Stand, the new the Olympic stand and the new stand was being built, and the camera angle's down low. I remember that. We're playing Essendon. It's a final. Press play and see what happens, Davo.
Numbers Watson. Crunch on Hurd.
We'll try it again. Hang on, let's try that again. We just missed the start of it. This is awesome, and it's a bit pixelated, but that's okay. It's just what YouTube has.
Crunch on Hurd. Demolition job on James Hurd, and he's down, and he hasn't got up yet. Will that be a defining moment in the game? Travis Johnson takes it. Travis Johnson knows where the sticks are, and he knows how to split them. The Demons.
Oh man, I remember that so vividly, Wheels. I remember after, or just as that goal was going through from Tigger, the surge of the crowd was only, I mean, of course they're going to scream for a goal in a big game like that was. Ben Shadle says better than sex, this is. Absolutely. The chill down my spine when that goal went through, because it was on the back of that massive hit on their big dog, their man, James Hurd. You saw him, Wheels. You lined him up. Talk me through it. Talk me through the moment.
No, I just remember the handball. First off, I actually thought I could intercept the ball because it was a pretty high handball. Not a great handball, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. It was hospital.
And that was my first instinct, was to go to actually intercept the ball. And then I realised I wasn't going to get there. And then it was just basically just try hit him hard and knock him out. Unfortunately, I didn't do a good enough job, because I think he ended up going forward for most of that game and then won on the game pretty much. So, he's a very tough footballer, wasn't he?
It's just a shame, really, because, I mean, obviously, he was. And you wouldn't think so by looking at him, would you? But he was. He was so tough. It's a tough game out there, and to have the flopsy blonde hair and to lope around like he did, he was an absolute freak. You used to think to yourself, how's he doing this? He does not look like a footballer, but that was a spine-tingling hit. And you used to do that all the time. Benny Shadles, I've got a bit of a love affair with our Wheels, doesn't he? He's got one of your jumpers, and thanks for getting one of the greatest Ds of all time on the show. Wow, that's nice to hear that, Wheels. Melinda says, would have been nice to take him down a peg or two. And absolutely you did. You played rugby growing up, Wheels. This is where this tackling and hitting like this came from, yeah?
Yep.
So,
like I said, my brother's 5 years older than me, so he moved to boarding school in Darwin. So I was raised in Katherine. And then we followed footsteps, and we moved to Darwin. And then my brother was playing rugby league and rugby union. We went to a Catholic school, St. John's College. So he had the brothers and that were, I think, bosses of those schools. So he used to get out of detention, my brother, by going and playing rugby for the school. So I just followed in his footsteps, just tried to be like the older brother. But Dad grew up in South Australia, to Ross Trevor College. It was a famous footballing college over there, and then wanted me to try football, AFL, and then so then I sort of fell in love with the game, and
well, it certainly flowed through into the way you played your AFL game of football, and Danners loved it, didn't he? Neil Daniher, your coach for your tenure at the Melbourne Football Club. As much as he called you into the room when it came to a skinfold test time, he did enjoy having you on the halfback flank, didn't he?
Oh, I think he did. Hopefully I won him over pretty early. I remember one of my first year as well. I tackled one of the senior players pretty hard, and the senior player didn't like it. Yeah. And then it was his turn to tackle me, and I got him early, and I knew it was coming, so I dropped him as well. And then like Daniher was standing right there, loving it. Like, then he's like, all right, got to change partners now because he was getting a bit fiery between us two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love the physical side of things.
Yeah.
One thing that drove me in my footy career was I was sitting at the back with my old man when I was about 14 or 15, and he said my brother was tougher than me.
Yeah.
My brother was tough. He had not much skill, but he's very, very tough.
Very tough. Yeah.
He didn't play footy, but he played rugby. And I think my whole life or my whole thing was about proving I'm tougher than my brother.
Yeah.
So that's why the bigger the person was, it was just like the bigger the challenge, and no one expected a small bloke to take out the big bloke.
I love that. I love that driving force, because I had my driving force, and I've talked about it on the show early days, was when my father's best friend was just completely shocked that I'd made some selected side down there in Tasmania. And his comments were just so rude, so shocking, that it made me feel so inferior that I swore I never wanted to feel like that again. So anytime I did something, it was going to be ball tearing crazy hard. Right now, my hard was different to your hard. My hard was go at everything hard. Like the ball's in the air, no fear, just jump, just go wherever it is. Don't worry about your head. Don't worry about your body. I didn't tackle like you did. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't great at that, but the ball was on the ground. I would just throw everything at it to get it. It was messy, but it was all born of this guy who said I wasn't good enough. And it's interesting to hear how you wanted to beat your brother, and you never wanted anyone to say that your brother's better than you. That's absolutely brilliant. I love that. Hey, a question I've got for you. The drinking thing, which I think is amazing that you were able to stave it off. Did you feel, and be honest with this because we can talk about this stuff now, did you feel pressured to drink? Did you ever feel that pressure to have a drink?
No. I mean, boys try to spike my drinks and all that sort of stuff.
That's not pressure though, really, though, is it?
So, like, they try to do Swifties, but you can obviously smell it and that sort of stuff. But like pretty much since I was 16, 17, 18, all my teammates had tried to get me to drink. So it was just par for the course. After a while, they knew I wasn't going to cave in, so they just gave up. So I was the taxi for everyone to get home.
You were the taxi. You were our Uber driver every single time. I love this. The headline of this show is Melbourne Demon ex-players tried to spike Matty Whelan's drinks. Don't worry. I know that we did this. Simon Godfrey was the same. Simon Godfrey, we've got to get him on the show and talk to him because he was a teetotaler as well after probably a dangerous youth with alcohol. He had his reasons. I'd love to talk to him about it. But we used to make him scull lemonade, remember? Like he had to scull lemonade, and you probably had to do the same as well. And just trying to make him to have a beer. This lemonade's horrible. You got to scull it. Have a beer and you'll be right. That's terrible. That is so bad.
I think I only went to a couple of wakes just because it was like no point in me being there, to be honest. So just experience it for the first couple of years, and then that was it.
I love it, and you're not supposed to talk about this sort of stuff, but it's infamy stuff, really, isn't it? Like my first wake was you weren't there. This was 2 or 3 years before you got to the club, but we had it at a place called the Saloon Bar down on Toorak Road. Anyone remember the saloon down on Toorak? It might not. I mean, it's definitely not there anymore. I think we destroyed it that day, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was walking into. You had to be there at 10 o'clock, and if you're a minute late, it was a pot for every minute you were late, or every 5 minutes you were late after that. I remember Craig Nettlebeck was late. He had he had to have like five pots, bang, 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 bang. And you'd think, okay, 5 pots, you could last with that. That's okay. But it wasn't beer. It was Guinness. You had to have warm Guinness at 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, it was awful. So if anything is going to turn you off the drink, that is, I remember at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wheels, I reckon I was passed out in the toilet. And I remember the toilet was so backed up, there was this much fluid on the ground of the bathroom, and I was asleep in it. And I woke up and I'm stinking drunk, and I walk back out and I see one of my old teammates. He only lasted a year. This is probably why. He was in the corner. I remember Paul Hobgood, who had his drink, was talking to him, and Mark Winterden, you might remember him, was bawling his eyes out. Just bawling his eyes out. It's tragic. It's terrible. But this is what we used to do. And all I can do is laugh about it now because you just feel sad about it because we probably destroyed a lot of people's careers. We know this now. Science has moved on. But hey, it's good days.
Good stories anyway.
Oh, good stories. Wheels, talk to me about the Northern Territory. You're an icon of football up there. You might not think that you are, but you are, especially with the Buffaloes. Now you're in I think it's the Buffaloes team of the century. You've been inducted into the Northern Territory Football Hall of Fame yet? Surely that's coming soon. Yes, that's happened. We've got to be pretty proud of that as a Melbourne Football Club to say that we've plucked this kid from Darwin. He's come down here into the white man's world, like I said before. He's done everything right. He's pushed his body so hard, and he's gone back. And basically, back home, to a lot of young kids, you're a hero. That probably doesn't sit well with you, knowing how humble you are. But that's the truth of it. How does that make you feel?
No, obviously very humbled by it all and the recognition. But it was weird. I remember when I got inducted into the AFLNT Hall of Fame. All the other people that were getting inducted that night, like that was they were the blokes that I sort of grew up watching, and they were my heroes and the legends, and that's the people I see as obviously legends and that sort of stuff, So it didn't sit right with me, but it is what it is, and I'm sure I'll reminisce and take those accolades as I get a bit older. But it doesn't quite sit right with me. But I was very proud, obviously, but because my uncle. Warren McCoy, he's already in the Hall of Fame as well, so it's just great to join in. I'm hoping at some stage my grandfather might get inducted as well. So he's sort of played a lot of footy in Central Australia and won a few medals there and a lot of premierships with Pioneer Football Club. So that's been one of the good things going back to play games in Alice Springs, the club. I've actually been able to go to the Pioneer Football Club and see photos of my grandfather when he was young and when he was playing in premiership teams and that sort of stuff. So I only met him once or twice in my life. So it was actually nice to actually see him as a young fella, playing footy. So in those photos, so it's very, very special.
Wow. Hey, tell me if this is, and I've got a video I'm going to play in a second, but tell me, just talking about what we're doing there, but tell me how special I must feel, I should feel, about this, because I'm not sure, and I've been told that I should feel really special. We're in Darwin for a TV show. This was nothing to do with Melbourne Football Club. It was a promotional thing for Tourism NT, and I had to play music on stage with Phil Sobrano, my great mate Phil Sobrano. And do you know that amphitheatre there where there's that big grass hill there? Mm-hmm. Is it the Botanical Gardens down there? Yep. Beautiful. Just one of the most epic places to watch a concert, Dave. You've got to go to Darwin. And if you do, they have a great festival every single year. Music festival. There's so much. What's that one, mate?
Splendor in the Grass.
Splendor in the Grass, yes. And then they have, what's the Mindle Market as well?
Yep, amazing.
Amazing. You've got to go to Darwin if you haven't been. Some of the great eating. Anyway, we're at this event, Splendor in the Grass, and I was about to go up on stage. And one of the Indigenous kids was there with his family, and I'm going to say probably about 14, 15 years of age. And he comes up to me, he goes, Uncle Robbo. We all call you Uncle, brother. We all call you Uncle. We all call you Uncle because we loved you. We loved you. And then he goes through all my stats, my weight, my height, where I was drafted from. Unbelievable. I was like, wow, how do you know all this stuff? He goes, don't worry about it. We call you Uncle. You're part of the... Apparently that's a pretty big deal to be called part of the family in the Indigenous realm. Or am I being told porky pies?
No, that's true. I mean, with the Aboriginal community, it's very sort of obviously the nuclear family is very different the way things are set up. But obviously, if people love you and that sort of stuff, they'll call you uncle. Or they'll basically claim you. You'll get claimed a fair bit. So take it as a very big mark of respect and that sort of stuff. Wow. That they obviously love you and love all the stuff that you do.
I bloody well am going to take it as a mark of respect, and you take this as a mark of respect. We've got your induction here, so. Chuck this video on, Wheels. Recollect, remember over this for a second. Hopefully we can.
Former Darwin Buffalo and Melbourne AFL player Matthew Whelan is tonight inducted to the NT Hall of Fame. Matthew had an outstanding junior career, playing in the Darwin Buffalo's 1996-97 Senior Colts Premiership and taking the Club Best and Fairest Award after winning the Hunter Harrison Medal playing for the NTFL against an Alice Springs-based CAFL side at under 15 level. A junior representative player at secondary level 1995 and 3 times in the Teal Cup 1995, 96 and 97. Matthew made his NTFL league debut in 1996-97 and went on to play 65 Premier League games. Drafted from Sandford Club at Woodville, West Torrens to AFL Club Melbourne in 1999, Matthew carved out a 10-year, 150-game playing career before injury curtailed his playing days in 2009. Using a tough junior rugby league tackling background, Matthew's nickname of Whelan the Wrecker followed him into AFL ranks, where the opposition felt the full force of his 80-kilogram frame. A nephew of champion Palmerston Hall of Fame member Warren McCoy, Matthew earned selection in the 2003 and 2005 Indigenous All-Stars, which defeated Carlton and the Western Bulldogs respectively. Matthew was named in the Darwin Buffaloes Team of the Century in 2017.
Wow. I wanted to show that video mostly because of the highlights of you in there. There was some bloody beautiful highlights. Tell me you've got that photo of you and Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly in the background. I mean, how good a player was he?
Yeah, that was in my first year. So I actually remember that game very vividly. Played on him for the whole game, but in the first quarter, he'd kicked 2 goals, something on me, was toweling me up a little bit.
That's right.
And then and I think the word was, they were sort of saying, get wheels off him, you can't handle him. And then Daniher's backed me in, and then I turned it around and changed the way I played him, and then kept him goalless for the rest of the game, and actually had a really good day and was one of the better players. So
yeah, that's
that love I think Daniher has for me. And I love Daniher, he'd back his players in, sometimes to his own detriment when we're having a shocker, and it continued the whole day. But, a lot of players that play a lot of football understand that's what he was like, and he'd certainly back his players in, and that's why we loved him.
So how did you go about your game? Did you study a lot of the players that you're about to play on? Were you one of those guys, or were you one of those guys that just backed yourself into play pretty hardcore on this fella, spoil, tackle, and just try to win the ball yourself?
Well, basically all I really like to do is just find out what foot they kicked with. That was the main thing. Because generally when you're under pressure, you'll go to your favourite side. So always just made sure I knew what was their preferred foot. I mean, a lot of players could kick both feet, but like I said, under pressure, you generally go to your most dominant side. So that's the way I sort of played football. And then it was just like, I didn't care who I lined up on, especially in the early days. I didn't really think about it. As I got older, I probably worried a bit too much. But in my early days, I just played and just try to have fun and try to hit hard and tackle. So that was my favourite bit of the game, tackling. So,
Now, you were a defender and I was a forward, and we had mids, and then we had utilities. We would be, sometimes we would, in a pre-season, to make pre-seasons interesting, Davo, we would have, you know where I'm going with this straight away. He knows exactly where. We would be put into these teams just to, competitions against each other. I remember one year we were doing things like getting Melbourne Cup horse winners down because it was to do with a racing theme. This particular year, it was more midfielders, forwards, backs, utilities, 4 teams up against each other. Lots of different things throughout the whole preseason to try to win these points to, at the end of the preseason, win a prize for your line group. Well, we were supposed to go to a national park here in Victoria called, Wheels, do you remember what it's called? I've forgotten.
Was that the one we did archery in that?
It's the one where we had to go in this national park and go and find things. We slept in tents. We had 3 days.
Mount Bogong?
Mount Bogong. That's the one.
Bogong.
Up that way, right?
Yeah.
Big national park, and you were given a tent and you had to bring your own food and a couple of things that you're allowed to choose once we got to the meeting point, and go out and live for 2 days.
Yeah. Grampians, Nita's got it.
The Grampians, thank you, Nita. Nita's still on. Nita, love you. Big shout out to Nita too, and the latest release of one of his beers. It's going quite well at the moment. Obviously, the Social Beast, we know the Social Beast. Nita, write it down for me again. The name of your beer, the new beer that you've got. Give it a massive plug, because for Christmas, this is the drink that you want to have. It's a lighter tasting beer. And it's, again, remember, the proceeds go to fight MND. That's just a little side thing. Nita, write down the name of the beer again for me. I just can't think on the fly right now as I'm thinking about the Grampians. I'll continue on with the story, because there's a couple of stories that come out of this. So we've all gone, Davo, we've gone all like, right, what can we do to be clever to get food, to make sure that we've got food to live for the 3 days? So I was obviously mouth of the South. Get your mouth around that. Thank you, Nita. By Mouth of the South, Demon supporters, please because we know that a lot of the proceeds go to fight MND, and we know what the Social Beast is doing for Neil Daniher and his cause as well. So good on you, Nita. Nita, you remember this story. I'm going to tell the Schwarter story in a minute. And Nita, you can jump in on this one. But we had to survive basically for 2 to 3 days. So we've all gone and got like, the trail mix nuts. Nita's got one of those little burner things and bought the porridge packet so you could get us all breakfast in the morning. We could have porridge, which is great, whatever. Everyone had their own little thing going on. Wheels, the night before, goes and buys 2 pizzas. And we're all like, what's that? What are you doing buying 2 pizzas? He goes, forget about it. It's going to be all right. We're like, nah, that's terrible, whatever. What was the make of pizza first? What did you have on?
Probably meat lovers, I'd reckon. Barbecue meat lovers.
Puts the meat lovers on top of each other in a plastic bag, chucks it in the bag, and ready to go, boys. That's it. And for the next 3 days, every now and then, he just pull a bit of pizza out and eat it in front of us. And here's me with my trail mix and my crappy whatever, and I'm looking at it and looking at Wheels going, can I have a bit of pizza? One of the best moves you ever made. Smartest moves ever, because everyone wanted your pizza. Am I right?
Everyone laughed at me, but everyone wanted my pizza.
Because pizza lasts. It lasts. Cold pizza is awesome. I love cold pizza.
Tasted bloody good.
Oh,
instant too. Instant, Robert. Didn't have to wait and cook it on those transient things, remember?
You don't need a microwave to warm it up. You just knew. You were so smart. We got all this can of tuna. What an idiot I was.
That's probably why I was in the office with Dennis about my skin folds all the time.
But in that moment when you're chowing down on a bit of meat lovers pizza after a day and a half of not eating any food, we're all this, give us some pizza. And he had that look on his face. They were just giggling at us like, nah.
Remember that Ziploc bag was a bit sweaty though. From all the, it's forming its own little world in there.
Because it was pretty warm. It was pretty warm.
Yeah.
A bit of worry of salmonella, but it didn't happen. His iron guts over here got through it. Oh,
good for my skin folds if I got it.
And anyway, so here's the thing, right? I'm in the forward, so I didn't have to see the pizza too much, but would cross paths every now and then in this massive national park. Schwarter was a notorious complainer, notorious whinger. Nita told this story in one of the shows early on. And Schwarter is in a tent. In my tent, actually, we slept together in the same tent, and he's complaining, I'm sick, I feel sick. We're like, sure, Schwarter, you just want to go home, mate. He goes, no, I'm crook. I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. It was a hard thing that we were doing, right? We just wanted to go back to our creature comforts, and we knew Schwarter wanted to do that too. But he was whinging it really. Anyway, in the morning, he's like, my guts, boys, my guts. I don't think I can go out on this walk. And we're getting really pissed off with him, frustrated, because we don't want to either. Just harden up, Schwarter. Just come with us, mate. We need you. Anyway, he goes, no, boys, I'm out. No, whatever. And we left. We came back that night, and we find out that Schwarter had been helicoptered out of the national park when his appendix burst. We're all a bit like, But you got to forgive us, though, don't you, Wheels, for thinking like that. Schwarter wasn't the best at training, was he?
Find a way to get out of things and say, boy who cried wolf, isn't it?
Oh, so good. I love all those stories. It's just coming back to me. Hey, Wheels, we retired on the same day, mate. Talk to me about that day for you. How did it go down? How did it feel?
It's probably one of the better days, to be honest, because it's the first time I think my whole family actually seen me play. They were in the same place at the same time. So I think they my friends flew down from interstate, from other Australia, and so it was actually still a great day. But obviously, it's a weird day. It's all those emotions, excitement, but at the same time, it's the end of the journey. Probably helped we get pumped by 70 points or whatever it was. So, but it was a great day. Obviously, to share it with yourself and Paul Whitley as well. So, certainly one that I'll definitely remember.
Yeah, absolutely. You, myself, and Wheatley, Paul Wheatley, Spud, who was another great man, another one of those did it his own way kind of guy. You played down back with Wheats, and we saw him on your highlight reel before. So I want to quickly, before I go to the next video of something that happened during your career, you had a really staunch group down there that was probably a little bit maligned because you had a fullback in Alistair Nicholson, the guy that was in the cage all the time, that a lot of our supporters love to get stuck into. We've had him on the show, don't worry, so this is all good. Nico, and then you've got Clint Bizzle, you've got Paul Wheatley, you got Nathan Brown, you had Anthony Egerson for a little while. Talk to me about that backline through that era and how well did you gel and how did you go about things? Because, and we'll move forward soon into the premiership team that has this amazing backline at the moment. Firstly, let's talk about your day.
Yeah, I absolutely just had a ball down there. When you're probably inside a club, you probably don't hear a lot of the stuff that's happening outside, but you just form close bonds with, I guess, all your teammates, but particularly with all the boys I spent a lot of time with in the back line. And when you do those camps that you spoke about, when you're in those groups, you form those bonds even more. So, we just rode the highs and lows of AFL football and, had great relationships with most of those boys. So it's something I obviously cherish. And, still keep up in touch with Nico here and there. And he's done some great things since he's left AFL football and he's continuing to do great things now. So, got Paul Wheatley just lives not far from me, so he's still one of my great mates. So his wife and my wife are best friends, and that's how we met and that sort of stuff. And so still really close with him. Yeah.
Question from the floor before was, how many kids have you got, Wheels? What you got going on there at home? Tell them.
Yeah, I'm not like Flash. I've only got 3. I'm not the 5 like him, but I've got a 12-year-old boy, a 10-year-old daughter, and a 3-year-old boy as well. So they're keeping me busy this stage, been homeschooling and that sort of stuff. I mean, the wife's been doing it, but, got three little ones, and they keep me busy. So
absolutely,
very thankful, happy and healthy.
Oh, that's great, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the question is going to be, do any of them like football at all? Are they playing football?
Yeah, my son's starting to really enjoy football. It'd be interesting to see his journey. So he's starting to get a little bit bigger now. So he turns 30 next month. So we started with the clubs that sell mates, so yourself there with tests and that sort of stuff. So and with the other with kids now. Yeah.
We've got so many, and yes, it was too. I saw that your missus put up Renee put up a photo of you saying happy birthday to this great man. It was your birthday yesterday, mate. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We don't celebrate them anymore, though, do we? We don't do that.
Exactly. Remember how old you turned.
Oh, God, you remind it every day now. There's something that did happen in your career, and I'm not sure if we've got this one loaded up. It's there somewhere, Dave, and see if you can find it. When we were playing Richmond at Etihad Stadium, it's probably got to be on. I want to talk about this. It's one of those big things that happened in your career, and everyone would remember when Nathan Brown had his leg snapped in half by your good self. It's a physical game. It happens. We're just getting this up, but mate, I was down the other end of the ground. Here we go.
Not yet.
See if we can. That's it. If you can chuck that up for us, Davo. It's loud in my earphones, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're probably just hearing Wheels and myself, so I'll keep talking until we can grab it. But Nathan Brown, who was a terrific player for us, and you always got the job on Nath. You and Simon Godfrey, when Nath went into the middle of the ground, Brownie, you'd have to, Godders went with him, but when he was playing maybe in a forward pocket, you'd have to line up on him as well. When that crack happened, mate, how did it feel for you?
Well, I didn't really notice it at the start. Obviously, you probably see the footage of it, but I was just laying on his leg, obviously not realising what had happened. And then once I got up and I saw it pointing in the not quite straight, obviously knew it was pretty serious injury and that sort of stuff. But there's part of me that's like, well, at least he can't kick any more goals on me,
or anybody else for a while.
Yeah. And then there's the other part that's obviously, oh God, I probably ruined his career now. So, and he was a fantastic player, and he's in amazing form that year as well. So,
he was
first or second on the goal kicking, Coleman that year. So Richmond were flying at that stage as well. So, yeah, unfortunately that happened to him. But, yeah.
Well, we got one of those things that happens in football, don't it? And I think we've got the footage here. Are we ready to roll? Let's have a look.
Smother, was it? Oh, no. Gary Lyon, you had a similar incident happen to you out at the Whitten Oval. Oh, no. That is not good at all.
We'll get rid of that because we'll just get rid of the sound as well. It's one of those things that happens in football. I love that Gary Lyon gets fed into this a lot. I love that Gary Lyon's crying on the stretcher. I love that footage. It's one of my favourite bits of footage. Sorry, Gary. Where Nathan has just got his hands like this, obviously in shock after such a massive injury. But Gary's the absolute opposite end of that. So, but yeah, I mean, that was you, desperation. And you did nothing wrong there. Did you talk to Nathan after that?
No, I remember phoning him probably on the Wednesday or Thursday of that week, or obviously that following week, just to touch base with him. So I think I got in contact with his manager somehow and just got his number, but just wanted to see if he was all right. And the poor thing, like his very first game back in the VFL, I think it was his first game, I actually lined up on him again. I was playing VFL and he was my opponent, and as I'm walking down to him, he's just going, "Don't fall on my effing leg," you know. That was his. I think it was his very first game back. I could be wrong, but yeah. So poor thing. Obviously he was never quite the same player after that. But he was generally like, not many left footers can kick their opposite foot anyway. Yeah, and he generally could kick both feet just as good. And I'll probably put obviously Adam Uze and maybe an Adam sort of in that sort of small sort of group. I think that can do it both just as good as each other. But he was an exceptional footballer. And unfortunately, that happened to him. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I agree with that. He was always walk-up start to the Australian team every single year, all Australian. And we had to stop him, and we had to stop, I suppose, Richo was the other guy that you had to stop. That was let's talk before we've got to wind things up pretty soon because it's we can't stay on for too long. But your toughest opponents is always a question that everyone loves to ask, and what you did to beat those guys. And we'll move on to the next question, which will probably be just to warm you up, is one of some of your best memories of playing for Melbourne. So firstly, let's go with your toughest opponent.
For me, it was probably Philip Matera. He pantsed me a few times. So I had nightmares about him. So there's probably 2 games where I beat him, and I reckon there's probably about 3 or 4 where he absolutely just pulled me pants down and just shattered the old confidence. So he's definitely, like, over a long period of time, he was definitely probably the hardest player for me.
Did you play on his brother?
In my first year, I'm playing on, I think it was Philip or Peter, and then I remember one of them going to the bench, and then the other one comes on. So it's like that was my.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Usually when someone goes to the bench as a back, you think, "Oh, I'll get someone a bit easier," and then another brother comes on. So it was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" So.
Ridiculous.
It was. But I still remember that game really fondly because there's some people from the territory in the crowd, and they were yelling out some naughty words they probably shouldn't have been in language and that from Darwin. So I still remember that game pretty vividly. So,
Oh, absolutely. And you're salivating at the moment, Dave, because he's a West Coast Eagles supporter. They were 2 terrific players. Phil was amazing. Phil was amazing at kicking goals. I think he gets underrated. He gets overshadowed by his brother Peter, because Peter could play in the middle and he was so electrifying through those premiership teams. But then Phil was around Scott Cummings' feet. He was unbelievable, wasn't he, Wills? He just bob up and kick 5 or 6 every single week.
Yeah, well, he kicked about 50 or 60 most years. Like, he was a lot different. He was a different sort of small forward. So he wasn't your typical drop of the ball like your Stephen Milne. He was more of like a leading forward, because the full forward would go out and the ball would go over his head, and then he'd come in from the other side, sort of slide in and take these sort of chest marks low and that sort of stuff. So he was very different to, I guess, most sort of small forwards that I played on. That's probably why I struggled with him. Yeah.
Got some questions coming through before I get to my last one. Who was your bunny? Who did you always whoop? You'd never say you whooped anyone and they were your bunny, but who did you find that you had pretty good games against?
I don't know. I found like whenever I went to Western Australia or South Australia, I tend to play pretty good. I don't know why. Probably because I probably ate better. Probably ate better food because I'd eat with the team. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I found whenever I travelled, I like travelling. So
Yeah.
I've just been from the territory, and I've noticed as well.
I loved it
too. You had to travel to represent your state and that sort of stuff. So some of the Victorians boys were a bit precious, and counting down the days till they went back on the plane. So
calling their missus all the time, and no, we were. I mean, that's nothing wrong with calling your missus, but feeling it's the way you feel really lonely about it. We're like, hell, this is just par for the course. This is awesome, and I love going away with the boys too. I saved my best games for the West Coast Eagles actually, and probably less so Fremantle, but I enjoyed the big open grounds. But more than that, I did enjoy going away with my teammates and being in a hotel, and I do not feel like the current team going away and being in that compound where they were and playing games and winning finals. That's not hard. That would have been absolutely wonderful, a wonderful time that they'll always remember. And of course, they brought home the premiership. That backline, Wheels, before my last question, which was no, I asked it, didn't I? That backline at the moment, what do you make of that? Because, geez, wow.
Just it's got a bit of everything. I think that's the beauty of it. You got Maisie, who's the rock, and he's probably undersized to be honest, and he takes on those big forwards. And I love the way he plays. He's a very sort of old school footballer. I think a lot of the younger blokes don't know how to defend properly one-on-one. Whereas Maisie, he used to be one out with Buddy Franklin and those sort of fellas. So he's old. He doesn't give the forwards a run and jump at the ball, which is what I love. So. But he obviously knows how to play the modern game, and his skills are elite as well. So and then you've got obviously Jake does the intercepting marks and that sort of stuff, and then you've got the smaller blokes just creating that run and drive off the back half with their skills. So I think it's just a great mix, and Harrison Petty was able to slip in very nicely. Unfortunately, Tomo got injured as well. Who's doing a great job there. So it's looking good. It's such a young group. Maisie's only 28 or 29 or whatever he is. So I think he's the oldest one back there. So I mean, there's plenty of growth still. So very exciting. So
absolutely. And lastly, I guess the question just has to be asked. Cozzy, just an amazing rise this year. I think we forget that he's just a baby. He's a kid. He's got a great uncle. One of the funniest blokes you will ever meet, Byron Pickett. And I didn't even get into some of the stories about him. But remember when we landed? I think we landed in Darwin, and a couple of Indigenous kids came up to Byron and thought he was Michael Long.
That's a great story, that one.
I'm not going to say what happened. If you ever see Wheels or me in the street, come and ask about the Byron Pickett Darwin incident. It's absolutely brilliant. But Cozzy, talk to me about what you saw there on field.
Oh, he's just a freak. He can do it all. I mean, he's got that physical presence for such a small bloke. I mean, he doesn't have quite have the size that his uncle did, but scary to think, once he's 21 and that sort of that age group, that he's going to be the physical matured man, and he hits like a brick shit now. So I mean, he can do it all. He's going to take mark of the year, probably beat you, Robbo. Take a big mark of the year.
Absolutely. I hope he does. I never got mark of the year though. Remember, I never got there. I know. What the hell? I was at an event yesterday with Brendan Favola, and they were getting stuck into me. The guy that went for more speckies than any person ever in the history of the AFL and never actually won a mark of the year. Well, get stuffed, everybody, because at least I tried.
Exactly. Didn't die wondering, mate.
Oh God.
He's just skillful as well. He's like left and right foot is just ridiculous how skillful he is. So
100%.
Just gets better, and and obviously, hopefully, we're going to be winning more than we're losing. So you get the opportunity to showcase his wares. So
yeah, absolutely. Does it make you feel? Last question before I say goodbye to you. Does it make you feel pride, or what does it make you feel? Because the Indigenous players have always been the most exciting players on our football fields. What we see from people like Liam Jarrell when he comes from Yuendamu, which is the middle of Australia, but like a commune that's an hour from anything that is remotely what we see in our day-to-day lives now, to come down to the freezing cold Melbourne winter and play football like that, but still do these amazing things. And you see day in, day out. I mean, I saw some footage of Eddie Betts. Who was he playing for up in Darwin? Did you see that?
Magpies.
Yeah, playing for the Palmerston Magpies. For another boundary line goal. It must just make you feel really proud of your culture, your Indigenous brothers. They just keep doing these amazing things on a football field.
Yeah, we just got to get the coaches to stop coaching them. So I think they're better without coaching, to be honest. So yeah, I think they just bring that natural flair. That's who they grew up with, playing with all their cousins. And I think anyone that's got older siblings or older relatives that they play any sport against, they're always, you got to develop certain tricks to beat those older ones. So I think it's just that growing up and trying to match it with the older siblings, that gives anyone an advantage. Doesn't matter whether you're black, white, or brindle.
100%. Benny Shadle says, what number did Byron wear at the D's? I don't remember. Was he 30?
33.
33.
Yeah, Flashy was 36.
Because he took the Wizards number 33. Of course he did. Yeah, good on you, Benny.
Afterwards.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Wheels, and I mean this most sincerely because it's just easy for me. When you sort of you play football together for a long time, Dave, and you played football and you played hockey and you play whatever. When you play in a team together and you play long enough, you just become something else. There's a difference in your relationship. And for me and Wheels and Paul Wheatley and Adam Uze and all us guys, when we catch up, it just feels like that we're all just brothers and we'll do absolutely anything for you. And it sounds like a throwaway line, but it's true, isn't it, Wheels? There's this feeling like it just cuts through lines. I'm a Tasmanian, you're a Territorian, but it just doesn't matter. We had this common thing, and if you ever ask me for anything, then it would just happen, and vice versa. It's a warm feeling knowing that you got people out there like that, because we battled together, and you are one of those guys in my life that it doesn't matter what or how far or where or when, we'll always have this common thing. We're you're just like my brother, and it's just so awesome. We've got a lot of them, haven't we?
Oh, exactly. I think it's just that going through all the ups and downs of life and footy exacerbates that sort of stuff, and all those camps,
yeah,
good things and the bad things that we can talk about and can't talk about. That's what bonds you, and I just have that commonality.
Right.
I suppose.
That's right, and it's people like that. Those are the guys you can always rely on to spike your drink. That's love. That shows you love someone when they're not drinking and they don't want to drink, and they've said they don't want to drink, and then you spike their drink.
No wonder he doesn't share your pizza.
That's right. And when we ask for the pizza,
Like, piss off.
and next time we're in the Grampians together, Wheels, next time I want a bit of pizza, all right?
No chance. Get your own.
Get your own, but I love it. That's been awesome, Wheels. Go back to that family, mate, because there's probably feeding time at the zoo there. Go get some food in here.
I think so.
We'll catch up. December 5th is coming around fast. I'm sure you'll be there at the MCG.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that, brother.
Yep. Pre-season starts the next day.
Oh, wow. Get down. And some of the boys have already started training. Have you seen this? This is awesome. Yep.
No rest anymore.
No rest anymore. They're committed. We were committed too, but just not as much.
Yeah. Eating pizza for training or not committed.
Eating pizza and spiking drinks. You're not that committed, are you?
We'll go to Hungry Jack straight after the game with Wardy.
Yeah.
And Brucey and all those Bo Morris mob down that way.
That's right. Mate, they were the days. It was fun. It was awesome. Everyone has loved seeing you, Wheels. I've loved seeing you. I can't wait to catch up soon, mate. And go well. So talk soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See you, mate.
See you.
This is just awesome. I love doing this. This is my favorite part of the week.
Yeah, that's great.
How good was that? What did you get out of that?
Mate, always take a pizza. Like, I was only just thinking when he said the pizza, it made a lot of sense.
It's so smart.
Yeah, because we've got leftover pizza.
And especially if you're hungover, come on, who doesn't go to the fridge and go, wow, I'm having that day old pizza.
Did you know you were going to go for 2 days or 3 days without eating?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah, we knew. We had to go and...
It'd be unusual if you turned up with a pizza and you didn't know.
It was so unusual because we're all trying to be like, we're in the middle of pre-season, so we're all trying to be really healthy and trying to be... And look, pizza's not completely unhealthy, but we've all got mixed nuts, trail, mix, and trying to have all this healthy food and look like we're... And when it gets to that point, when you're 2 days into not eating and you're about ready to eat your arm off because you're ravenous footy players that have been training for the last 2 months, and this is so hard what we've been doing.
And Wheels pulls out the deep dish.
We were so jealous.
Probably roasting in the bag too, nicely. No, I really enjoyed that chat. I like Phil Matera.
Yeah.
For me, it's like someone that no one really talks about him. Really, like he's overshadowed a lot by Peter.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up watching him play football, he was remarkable. And then the other thing I think with I just think that not drinking thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I think that I was sort of thinking maybe there would be peer pressure and there's this culture to fit in or whatever, and
Yes.
he doesn't care, which is awesome.
A massive culture to fit in. I remember being under so much pressure to do things sometimes that it was detrimental to my own relationships, where you feel like you need to go to this event. And it was a social event for team bonding when you didn't want to. You wanted to be with your family. You wanted to do something with your wife or your kids. But you had to go to this social event there's pressures there. It was never twist your arm and it was never, but after 500 events in a year to go to another one, and sometimes you get the pressure of, really, do you need to go to that? But yes, I do need to go to that. Wheels was able to segregate that and family life really, really well. And if you're an honest person, even Nita would say, sometimes maybe I probably should have just gone home then, or maybe I should have stayed home for that one. Yeah, of course. But that's a difficult decision you've got to make sometimes when you're trying to fit into an organisation that matters to you. You want to play AFL football, so maybe I need to do everything over here to service this. Then other relationships struggle. They suffer. So I reckon there's a place there somewhere to teach young kids coming through better techniques to work through that sort of stuff.
Hey, can we take the show on the road next year? Because I was talking about
yes,
because we can, but you were talking about just going away and being as a group and enjoying being away, right? And we've been in lockdown for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I'm from Perth,
Yeah.
and so I was immediately like, hey, when the D's play
in Perth,
not Fremantle, when they play the Eagles.
Good coffee in Fremantle, though, isn't there? It's a pretty good hang.
I like the place. I'm not a big fan of the football club.
The football club.
But can we go and we'll do a show from there?
Yeah.
We'll get like Phil Matera on or someone.
100%.
Glenn Jakovich.
100%. Glenn Jakovich is a great friend of mine.
He used to get Glenn and Alan on together.
Well, Alan's great. But Glenn, he'll give you some...
Just for an excuse just to go on a trip.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the show.
Well, we're working on sponsorship. Maybe we get Jayco to look after us, or New Age Caravans, who used to sponsor the Melbourne Football Club. Big shout out to them, because I love New Age Caravans.
We're not taking a caravan all the way across to Perth.
Well, I'll
do anything, but I'm not going in a caravan with you the whole way
I'll have
across,
my caravan,
especially in that jacket.
You'll have your own caravan. What's wrong with my jacket?
We get a caravan each.
Yeah,
I'll do it then. Well, for that,
I like what was it? Can we go back a bit, Davo? That someone said something that it just, because we're talking, I just miss things. There has been so many good questions here. Okay, Anthony Sambati says, tell your friends about the show. We need more people, okay?
Yeah, we do.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Look, it looks like we haven't got a lot of people on at the moment. It's only 43 people, but I've got to tell you guys, this show after goes gangbusters. So please don't look at the numbers now and think, it's not a lot of people here. We are blown away by the amount of people that are checking out this show on all the podcast platforms, and also Spotify, Facebook. You can just find it in the aftershocks. You'll see it at Robbo Live. You'll see in the aftershock. So
aftershock. What's an aftershock?
You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps coming up on your feed.
On news feed.
Yeah, I thought that
would
be
aftershock. Is that a new way of calling the news feed?
I thought it would be relative to Melburnians. We've had aftershock.
Oh yeah, because it's pretty good. I like it, actually.
Thank you.
Never heard it before.
I'm waiting on the sponsorship from Russell's Reserve. Can we get a sponsorship from Russell's Reserve? I love it. No pressure to drink at all. Yeah,
no. Should have got myself one. I did have a dodgy looking gin glass.
You like your gin. I like my whiskey.
But look at this ridiculous looking glass. I didn't serve it. I know. Yeah. This is what happens when you get locked down for a long period of time. People buy glasses that look really fancy just so you feel like you're out. That's what happens. That's what happens to people.
We built a spa here at Davo's house.
Look at this. I work for New Age Caravans.
Who?
Jackie.
Jackie Clark. I'm here and I work for New Age Caravans. Sort of.
Sort of.
What do you mean, sort of, Jackie? Gabby's no longer part of New Age, is she, Jackie? But I'm sure she's got something to do with it. Montanese, of course, who the family that started New Age Caravan. She's a great girl. Jackie Clark, I'm here. Sort something else. Can you sort something out for us, Jackie? We'd love to take this on a road tour in a New Age caravan. 5-star caravans. They're so good.
I'd love to go caravan and go. It's a long way between Adelaide and Perth, though, and there's not a lot.
There's not a lot to see, is there?
No. I've done it on the train a couple of times.
Do you need much these days? Like this, you can podcast things and you can...
Yeah. I like a drive.
Just chat.
I mean, how long this interview is going for, you got plenty of time to get.
Yvonne, do you remember Stephen Stretch?
Yeah.
Love Stretchy. Get him on. Absolutely Yvonne. He's a great guy. He's in South Australia at the moment. Ben Shadow, who cares? 57 years and it's home and we're going back to back.
Hey, you got to give that jumper away.
Yeah, I do. So I think I might announce that after the December 5th event. Christmas special.
You know what you need to do too? We could pull in people, like you should do like a special and get, like Nita was on tonight. You should have like grabbed him and.
Well, I'm going to get a lot of the guys back. What about that? We'll get Schwarter, we'll get Nita, we'll get them all back and we'll have a rotational thing all in the same room and we'll decide together who wins the signed Guernsey. And I'm going to see if I can get Nita to come with me. Maybe he'll deliver a Mouth of the South beer.
In a caravan.
In a caravan from New Age.
They're good beers.
And I'll walk up with my Russell's Reserve and go, you've won. Well done. Well done. You've won.
Russell's.
You've won the jumper.
I have large eyebrows.
To be a Melbourne supporter, you do have to have high eyebrows.
Yeah.
You could get some eyebrows. You grow a good eyebrow.
They're thick. They don't grow up.
We'll give it some time. They might. That'll do, I reckon. I reckon that'll do. It's been an hour and a half. We only usually go for 40 minutes.
Matt says, don't forget my slab.
Nikki, you're going to get so much, especially at your wedding. I'm going to bring so much to your wedding. It's going to be awesome. I do play weddings, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Phil Sobrano, the band, lots of guys that I play. Shout out to Aaron Shembrell. What's that? Can you come to Nikki's? Can he come to the wedding? I know we haven't got many going to your wedding.
I can film
it. Yeah, so I'll announce.
Haven't been out much.
No, you haven't. You've been terrible. Even we were supposed to go out for a feed last night, but you couldn't get babysitters. What's wrong with you?
Don't know why you'd have kids. Especially after the last year we've had.
Oh, God. Get yourself if you're going to have kids, walk softly and have a good babysitter, I always say. So that's the stuff for the show today. Remember, we do have this jumper giveaway. Keep tagging Demon supporters. We've got this thing that's going to pluck someone that's been tagging Melbourne supporters in.
I reckon you could give this away too.
Get stuffed, you. That's a good jacket. It cost me $110. And I'm going to announce the jumper winner after that December 5th event at the MCG. We can't wait for that. We're going to present all the players. So at the MCG, Melbourne supporters, Melbourne members have been invited to a big event. They reckon they're going to be about 40,000, 50,000 people going through the MCG. It's going to happen all day long. And I'm starting to get wind of, guys, some of the events, some of the stuff that's going to happen at this amazing event at the MCG. Where
Russell Robinson playing guitar?
Yes. That's a whisper. Maybe one thing there. Maybe not me so much.
We've got to go all the way to the MCG to see that. You won't do it here.
That's, well, better than Meatloaf.
Well, we don't know yet. You haven't done it.
Well, that may be. We'll see. But there's some amazing things happening on that date. So I cannot wait for December 5th, where we get to see finally our players in one place together, where we can actually applaud them. Because, you know, when you win a premiership, you get presented to the crowd the very next day. We didn't get that as Melbourne supporters.
Oh, the avocado.
Oh, yes, the avocado's still here. Can you hear how hard that is?
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat it. Don't even ask. It's here. It's not going anywhere. It is the mascot of the show, the Haas Avocado, the Russell's Reserve Whiskey.
I'm a member of Melbourne. I'm going to be there.
Davo's going to go along with Fiona, your wife, who is a mad Shane Woden.
Shoes. Her login to her computer is a photo of Shane Woden.
That's a worry.
It's massively
And we had him on the show. She's watched it 10 times.
She's weirded out by it all.
I can't wait to get Wowie from Perth when they're allowed to leave Perth.
Oh, yeah. We all go. over.
We'll go over
and
there.
we'll film her
meeting
him. That'd be unbelievable. And we won't tell her. The whole thing will be like Funniest Home Video style.
Yeah.
And watch her you go, and we'll talk it up beforehand because I know what she does when she meets people like that. Remember Tim Rogers? You saw that.
Oh, yeah, but that was a fizzle. That was a fizzle.
gosh,
He wasn't
huge
nice
fizzle.
to her. But anyway, she's loved Tim. She loves Tim Rogers. But she loves Shane Wood and she loves the Demons. And because of that, you love the Demons as well. And it's been the joy of your life putting this show together, has it not?
I've absolutely loved this, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on and listening to me. And thanks for all the Melbourne supporters here and everyone else for getting on and chatting, because this is like what we wanted, why we wanted to do it. I wanted you to do it.
Well, Davo's idea to bring us Melbourne supporters together, to hear from our old boys about this team at the moment that we weren't allowed to be close to. Soon that'll change. But we're going to evolve this show as time goes by. That's enough for today. Next week, we'll work towards a Stephen stretch. Jack Trengove is going to join us. Cannot wait to hear about leadership and the pressures of that from him. That'll be ripping. Until then, goodbye, I suppose.
Let's go get some more Russells.
Get on the whiskey.